Hey, don't judge me. We've probably all said that before. I know I have. Something about other people trying to put us into a box or acting like they have the right to judge the way we live our lives really fills us with rage. This is especially true when it comes to celebrities or the reality TV stars. Don't judge me. And who are you to judge? I don't judge you, so don't judge me. Of course, if we're honest, we probably judged a person or two as well. Have you ever wondered what it's like to sit in the judgment seat? Not to be too lofty, but it's quite an awesome responsibility. And I don't mean awesome in the sense that it's amazing or great. I mean awesome in the sense that people's lives might be in your hands. So most of us probably don't want to end up in a courtroom or trial for something we've done. But all this begs the question, who decides what's right and wrong in the first place? Judges judge, it's true. But they judge according to a set of rules and principles that are handed down to them. If you keep looking deeper and deeper into laws and rules, you're bound to wonder where these rules came from in the first place and who the ultimate judge is. So when we ask who decides what is right and wrong, is it really just as simple as this courtroom here, this judgment seat? Does this question just boil down to another convenient set of rules? Just memorize them and you're done, move on to the next item. No, this question is more than something you quickly figure out and then graduate from. It goes way beyond legal rules and regulations. We're joined this time by RZIM team member John Jarogade. John, thanks for being with us.
Nice to be with you, Nathan.
Now, John, obviously we have to make decisions, every day about right and wrong, but we all know we're not the only ones making these decisions. That's why we have judges, that's why we have a police force, that's why we have a government system. But my question for you is, beyond those rules in place, to what extent do we decide what's right and what's wrong for us?
In a society, we have to decide how the best way to live in an orderly manner. And so in some countries, you can drive on the left side. In other countries, it's illegal to do so. You have to drive on the right side. And in personal preference, you have people who like vanilla and others who like strawberry. And those are just matters of taste. The confusion now comes when you get into the realm of morality, because people tend to think that morality functions the same way. It's a matter of taste. And the fact of the matter is, it is not a matter of taste. Morality comes to us already as a given. We don't invent morality. We do not create morality. We discover morality.
When we use a lofty term like the word justice, it seems to mean a lot more than just a set of rules that help us live the game of life. Is the concept of justice more than that? Is it more than just a set of rules?
When you are in the moral realm, justice takes on a very different meaning. Because when we talk about justice, we have this strong sense that there is such a thing as right and wrong, and we recognize immediately when justice is violated. For example, in 2008, my family and I happened to be in Kenya, and after the elections, there was a lot of violence and a lot of people got killed. We actually had our share of running away from the violence. And I spoke at a church the following Sunday where somebody got up and he said that the previous Sunday, his family was ordered out of the house just before his house was set on fire. And he said that the person who burned down his house, who actually set the house on fire, was the same person who had led worship in their church that morning. So here you have a person who's supposedly following the rules of the church given to him by the elders in the church. And then when his tribal leaders tell him to act a different way, he follows the tribal leaders. I think anybody who thinks carefully through that kind of a situation will see that justice has been violated.
So it seems like we do have some sense of justice from the start. Where does this come from?
Good question. I would say that it is actually part of the universe that we live in. We discover it, we don't invent it. If you were to try and give an argument for morality, any argument you give will be weaker than the self-evident nature of morality. It's just self-evident to us that it is part of the universe.
If these things are self-evident, as you're saying, why do we need to have the conversation if we kind of already know within ourselves?
To say that something is self-evident is not to say that it is easy. We all have to get to the point where we have thought through what we claim to believe. and what we hold to be true. I'll give you an example of Adolf Eichmann, who was responsible for transportation in the Nazi regime. He was responsible for the killing of millions of people, and he fled to Argentina, and he was arrested there and taken back to Jerusalem to stand trial. There was a philosopher by the name of Hannah Arendt who went to Jerusalem as a reporter for the New Yorker. And Hannah Arendt says that when she went to Jerusalem, she expected to see a monster of a man on trial, a demon on trial, a person who was responsible for killing so many people. But she was very surprised to find out that Eichmann looked just like any other human beings. He looked very normal. The only thing that stood out about Eichmann was the fact that he was not able to think for himself. He came to court armed with stock phrases and cliches that he kept repeating over and over again. And when he was in a realm where he could not use those cliches and those stock phrases, he was stuck. He didn't know, he was incoherent. He didn't know what to say. All the way to the minute that he was hanged, he was still uttering things that were quite incoherent. So it's important for us to be able to discuss these things and be able to come to conclusions that we ourselves can see are either right or wrong, that we can make decisions that will inform our lives and the way we live, not just because somebody told us, not because we heard others talk about it, but because we have made those decisions ourselves.
Now, making a decision in a courtroom is one thing, or you have a policeman who makes a decision in arrest, or a soldier in a war. You know, in all those examples, they're following orders. But even judges and government officials have to answer to a set of rules. So who ultimately decides what's right and what's wrong?
If we look at where we are so far, we have said that we live in a universe that comes packaged with right and wrong, with moral laws, that we do not invent morality, we discover morality. And then you have human beings who are able to recognize, not just recognize that moral law, but also they are also able to make decisions to decide whether or not to obey that moral law. And this is very different from physical laws. If I walk off the second floor of a building, I'm going to go down, I will fall, whether I want to or not. But morality is not like that. It makes demands on us, and moral laws, they're like commands that are given to us. Those kinds of commands come from minds, from a mind. It's a person who issues those commands. So it stands to reason that the universe, whatever the universe came from, it was put together by a being who is moral and who can make decisions. And as the Bible says, God made us in His image. And so we are able to recognize this moral law. And so I would say it points directly to the existence of a lawgiver. It points to God.
Now, why is Christianity different? How do we know it's not just a set of right and wrong, or just another set of rules for us to follow?
The fact of the matter is, we all have those set of rules, and we know we have violated them, so we are guilty. Whether we have ever heard of Jesus or not, we know right and wrong because it's universal. And the fact of the matter is, we stand condemned because we have broken each one of those laws. And because we have done that, and we've been alienated from God, the reason Jesus came into this world was to reunite us with God. And He did that through His sacrificial death on the cross. So Christianity is not just another set of morality that the Bible gives us. It's a solution to our predicament, the solution to the problem that we all face and that we all know to be the case.
Well, thank you once again for being here, John.
Thanks, Nathan.